Okay, this video, a little bit different. I'm just going to show you what has arrived in this box, and it's not even mine. You'll remember the DCC video, possibly, that I made, I think it's 4 years, maybe even 5 years ago now it's getting on for. As a result of that, you may remember, if you've seen some of these other videos I've done more recently, that a chap called Ralph in the US set up the DCC museum and took this to a whole other level. And in fact, there's a movie, well, a documentary all about DCC coming out this year. What I'm talking about today is something that's on its way to the DCC museum. Ralph bought this from a chap here in the UK who was selling his collection of digital compact cassettes that apparently he'd bought from a chap in Hong Kong 17 years ago who'd also obviously collected them. He's moving house, he needs to get rid of these to free up some space. The reason Ralph bought them is because there's quite a few rare titles in here. In fact, some that are so rare, he had no idea they existed, and he keeps a nice list of all the DCC titles that anyone's aware of. So there are, I think I've got five in here amongst 237 that he wasn't aware of. And then on top of that, there's a few others that are kind of very rare that you don't see so much, but he did know about, that he's not been able to purchase in the past. And one very special title I'll explain in a bit. It weighs 20.7 kilograms, which is 45.6 pounds. And the guy dropped this off and he says, "Here you go," and I picked it up and he put my back out. As a result of its weight, you can see the box here, I suppose you can see it, is splitting, and I can actually see the DCCs inside there. This would not have made it internationally, so it's a good job he sent it on to me, and then I'll repackage it and send it on to him. In fact, there's one in here, Madonna's Erotica. Yeah, perhaps not the best album ever, but it's a very collectible one apparently. He says it's called the Holy Grail of DCC tapes, and it fetches $200 to $300 normally, so there aren't many of those around, are there? I suppose it's one of the latter titles to come out on the format. Right, I've instigated a 2-camera operation now. It's really getting quite sophisticated just to open a box up, but you better see, hopefully from this other camera here, what we've got inside here. Just a heck of a load of DCCs. Now let me try and pick out the particularly rare ones. This is the one we're looking for. Michael Penn, Free for All. The reason that Ralph in particular has been looking for this for a while is that the rumour is that this is the only DCC with lyrics on it. DCC had the option for lyrics. When you press the button, you could look at the title of the album, the title of the track, artist name, time left, and there was a button that just said lyrics. Nothing ever popped up because nobody ever put the lyrics on the tapes. According to Rex Brown, who was mastering at RCA, he sneaked the lyrics in on this tape, although he was not supposed to. Well, I wonder if it's going to get told off now. Probably not. He did it to see if and how it worked. Now, he's talked to Rex on the phone, but Rex sold the equipment, which was his ITTS video box, to the museum a couple of years ago. Now, Ralph's done a video on the ITTS box. He's got a demo tape for Supertramp album Brother Where You Bound, and if he plays that tape through this ITTS box, the lyrics show up on a TV screen. But this is the only one, I think, that if you were to play it, it might show the lyrics on a DCC player. I don't know if you bought the whole box for that. And I've got my DCC 951 out, oh, it's over there, and the reason I've got that is because I think the 730 and the 951, there might be a couple of others, will be able to display the lyrics if they are on here. Did they make it on here, or is Rex misremembering, or did they somehow get lost in the process of mastering it? We'll find out in a bit. Right, so I've sorted through the box now, picked out the interesting titles, so let me tell you what they are. On the left here, we've got 5 titles that the DCC Museum were unaware of the existence of. Well, of course they are now. And the titles are the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, Frank Sinatra, the Capitol Collectors Series, Nat King Cole, the Capitol Collectors Series, Joe Cocker, One Night of Sin, and Paul McCartney, Off the Ground. So that's the 5 titles I can now add to the collection. We've got 4 here that they knew the existence of, but didn't have in the collection. And then finally over here, these are the titles that they're aware of, they've got in the collection, but these are the ones that always seem to be quite collectible. If they ever turn up on eBay, they fetch higher prices than the average titles. I mean, there's a heck of a lot of classical DCCs that nobody seems to give a damn about. So that is all the kind of really interesting titles for them. But there's this one title left, Michael Penn Free For All. Sorry, Michael Penn Free For All. Sorry, Michael. Now I've got the text buttons, let's have a look. Track title, Drained, artist, what's his face, album title, Free For All, one more press, lyrics. Now it says lyrics, which is what it says on all the ones that don't have lyrics on them. Yeah, so that was a massive anticlimax and a disappointment and really kind of ruins the whole video. I was hoping to show you something that hadn't been seen before, and in this case, unfortunately, I couldn't do because it doesn't work. The DCCs don't contain the lyrics in a form that can be displayed on a normal DCC player, only through one of those ITTS boxes. Now, meanwhile, over in the US, whilst I was putting this video together, Ralph spoke to me about a DCC that he'd received into the museum, and as a matter of course they run them all through that ITTS box just to see in case they have lyrics embedded in them, and this one did, and it was one that I happen to have in the box over at my end as well. So of course I put that one in the DCC player, but it didn't show the lyrics on that little screen as expected. Anyway, I packed everything up. This isn't footage of that, this is footage of me getting everything out of the box. I didn't shoot packing it up, so I thought, well, I'll reverse the footage of me getting it out of the box, and then I realised it doesn't really work because I put it in a different box, a stronger box that I then sent off to Ralph in the US. Now, whilst that box was winging its way to Ralph, it was somewhere over the mid-Atlantic, he emailed me through a PDF of a Philips document from 1992 that goes into detail about the production process for a DCC. It explains the specifications of the kind of data that can be written onto a DCC, but also goes into the duplication process in brief detail, but explains that 31 slave duplicators ran at 64 times normal speed, taking their data from a solid-state master that was described as being a vast memory of about 4 gigabits. 4 gigabits, if you don't know, is 500 megabytes, which back then was sufficient to hold up to 115 minutes worth of DCC-compatible audio. And the computer that was attached up to this system was a 20 MHz 386 SX with 4 megabytes RAM and 40 megabyte hard drive. As far as the text specs go, well, if you were to display it on a television screen, you could display 21 lines of 40 characters, which is very similar to the teletext service we had here in the UK. And you can see from here it enables the same level of rudimentary graphics, and this one even has some limited animation because of course it updates a little bit quicker than teletext did. Now, I don't think these ITTS boxes were ever available to the public. It was more of a demo type of thing. The intention was that over time DCC players would incorporate this technology and there'd be an output that you could plug into a television. That never came to pass. So all the work that went into putting this information on a handful of DCCs has really gone to waste because there's only Ralph that I know of that has got an ITTS box that can display this information. Meanwhile, that box that I sent from the UK arrived safe and sound in the US. Ralph opened it up, found the Michael Penn title, ran it through his ITTS box, and it turns out that it doesn't have lyrics that can be displayed on there either. Just something that's been either misremembered from 20 odd years ago, which is unsurprising, or something changed in the production so that those lyrics didn't end up on the title that was duplicated. As far as what would have displayed on a consumer DCC player if it had been coded onto the cassette properly, it would have shown up to 2 lines of 40 characters or a single line of 12. Now, my DCC players all have the 12 character display. Maybe they were planning on the double line one at a later date. But it says here the lyrics are always displayed in synchronization with the music. I think they'd have trouble doing that on a 12 character display. I mean, it's fine on a television. You've got plenty of room there to display a lot more characters at one time. But on a little display like this, well, I think you're really pushing it. Unless you've got the simplest song with the shortest lyrics that's quite slow, you're really going to struggle. I mean, this is Mr. Tongue Twister from Tongue Twister, as he was known at the time, displayed in real time. Yeah, that's really not going to work very well on a tiny display. So there you go, a bit of an odd video. It turns out that you're not going to see any lyrics on a DCC screen anytime soon. If you do want to know more about DCC though, go over to the DCC Museum's website and you can also find out information about the upcoming documentary. But that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.